means now that the spirits are with us. These ghosts are here to stay.
Have you seen the poem in my room?
Oh, I love that poem. Listen, my child, to this story of dreams. How does the rest go? It was there when we bought the place.
What kind of person is Charlie? He seems to feel bad about all of these mishaps.
Ugh, it's clear to me that Charlie's totally responsible for the accidents. Who else could it have been? He's a really nice kid, but he has no idea what he's doing. Unfortunately, Rose doesn't want to fire him. And there's something suspicious about him.
What do you mean?
The other day, I was down in the basement working for over an hour, and suddenly he sneaks up on me. I bet he was down there the whole time, watching me.
I heard someone crying in the hallway. Was that you?
I told you the spirits were interested in you. Was it a woman crying?
Yes, it was. How did you know?
It must be one of our phantom residents.
Do you know who this phantom could be?
Well, it wasn't me crying out there.
Does Charlie live around here?
I'm not sure. He said he's between apartments. I think he said he's staying with friends until he can find a place of his own.
Is Charlie from the Bay Area?
I don't know. You might want to ask Rose. He doesn't talk much about his private life.
Between apartments? That seems kind of odd.
Not for San Francisco. Rents are really high, and there are so many kids thinking they can find cheap housing out here. It's sad to say, but a lot of them end up on the streets.
I found out how you rigged the seance table with a projector. That was a pretty good show you gave.
Okay, so I staged part of the seance, but that still doesn't mean this place isn't haunted. Seances were very popular during the Victorian era, and I plan to entertain our guests with them. It'll be a great way to promote the place.
Have you been creating these accidents to help your promotion?
Of course not. I've had nothing to do with these accidents. They cost us both time and money. If you want to find out who's behind the accidents, ask our resident handyman.
Are you the ghost who is haunting this place?
There's more to this house than you think, Nancy. You probably don't believe me, and with good reason, I admit it. But there are some mysteries in life best left unsolved.
How long have you known Rose?
A couple of years. She has good business sense, but I think she needs to think more about advertising. Otherwise, we're just like all the other B&Bs in this town, and believe me, there's plenty of them.
Do you know much about Louis? It must be great having your own expert on Victorians.
He owns Chandler Interiors, a very reputable antique store. I'm sure his clients will be quite interested in our bed and breakfast once they hear about our resident ghost.
I saw those papers in the parlor. Where did you find them?
Right in my room. They're so vintage. I'm going to ask Louis if he can get me some antique frames for them. Rose and I can use the letters in our historical display.
Historical display?
Yes, they're very popular in bed and breakfasts. They usually contain old photographs, letters, documents, things like that.
Were there any photographs with the papers?
I did find this old picture of a woman dressed in men's clothing. I think it was taken in the entryway by the staircase. I sent it to a photographer to have it restored.
Do you have any idea who this woman might be?
No, I don't. Sorry.
Did the house come with a lot of furniture?
There were a lot of pieces and knickknacks left behind, like the books in the study, your bed. I think it was too large to take out of the room.
I'll let you get back to what you were doing.
See you later.
How are the tiles coming along?
I'm all finished, but you should know what I found.
I'm sure it's very interesting, but unless it's really important, I've got other things to worry about. Let's see. If you're any good at fixing things, there's a dumbwaiter in the hallway that's not working.
I already fixed it. Sort of.
You have? Well then, I don't have anything for you to do right now. Why don't you take a break? There are a lot of nooks and crannies to explore. Maybe someone else could use your help.
Where did Abby find those papers that are in the parlor?
She told me they were in her room. which surprised me since it was completely empty when we moved in. Now the room you're staying in was crammed with furniture. I think most of it was original with the house.
Have you heard of someone named Lizzie Applegate?
No, I haven't.
Have you found any rainbow designs in the house?
Rainbows? No, not that I can remember.
How did you find Charlie?
He just showed up one day. It was really odd. I remember Abby and I were in the basement talking about hiring someone to help us. 20 minutes later, the doorbell rang and there stood Charlie, looking for work.
How do you know Louis?
He stopped by one day to introduce himself. He seemed awfully curious about our property, but he's an antique dealer specializing in the Victorian period. He's been extremely helpful advising us on authentic decor.
I can see you're busy. I'll let you go.
Don't work too hard. Hello.
I can see you're busy. I'll let you go.
Bye, Nancy.
Hey Nancy, I see you survived Abby's seance. Man, that Valdez guy sure sounded creepy.
I guess. Were you down here then? I don't remember seeing you.
Rose told me all about it. So how are things coming along? Anything I can help you out with?
How do you like working for Abby?
She's not bad. She can be a little weird. I think she gets on Rose's nerves sometimes.
Abby thinks the house is haunted. Do you?
I'm not sure. Let's just say I wouldn't rule it out. But that's Abby's department, not mine.
How does Abby get on Rose's nerves?
She always does a disappearing act whenever Rose needs her to do some work. And I think Rose has sort of had it, you know?
Had you come across any hidden passageways down here?
You mean like a trapdoor leading to a room with skeletons or something? No, I haven't.
Have you seen the poem in the Chinese room?
Yeah, I've never seen anything like that. It almost sounds like there's a hidden message in there, you know?
Charlie, I found this diskette. I think it's yours.
I was wondering where it was. Thanks a lot, Nancy. Luckily, I had a backup at the school.
Did you ever figure out whatever happened to the gold?
Nobody knows. Some historians say that the bank faked the robbery to collect the insurance money.
Was it El Diablo who stole the gold? Or someone else?
It was definitely El Diablo, but no one knows who he was. In my opinion, El Diablo never existed. He was a composite of different outlaws from that era.
I'll let you get back to your renovation.
Later.
I talked to everybody in the house, and none of them can figure out what caused the fire. Maybe I should take Louis's advice and cut my losses before it's too late.
What advice?
He has a client who might want to buy the place. Someone with more experience and money to finish all of the renovations.
What did the fire department say?
They think the fire was caused by sparks from the fireplace, since it doesn't have a screen. And I specifically told Charlie to buy one. How could he have forgotten? No, I am bound and determined to stick with this house no matter what. Nothing can drive me away. I don't care if it's fires, earthquakes, or Mr. Valdez with his gang of ghosts.
Excuse me for prying, but why did you spend so much money to insure the house against fire?
For protection. I've put my entire life savings into this house, and if it goes up in smoke, I'll lose everything.
I can see you're busy. I'll let you go.
Bye.
Hey Nancy, I hear there's been another accident. You've got to believe me, I didn't have anything to do with it. I just hope Rose doesn't blame me for this one.
Who was the last person you saw in the parlor before the fire?
I've been working mostly in the basement, but I think I saw Abby go through those papers right before the fire.
I'll let you get back to your renovation.
So long.
This is Emily.
Hi, Emily. It's Nancy Drew.
Nancy Drew? I haven't heard from you in ages. How's Hannah in River Heights? You're not in San Francisco, are you, my dear?
I sure am. I'm staying with Rose Green, a friend of Hannah's, in a Victorian mansion. I'm helping out with renovations.
You know, you're lucky you caught me at home. I've been traveling most of these days, but after that crazy tour of Egypt. By the way, riding a camel is not as easy as it looks. My editor gave me an assignment right here in town. It'll be on the Dragons of San Francisco.
I just wanted to give you a call and let you know I'm in town. I'll talk to you later.
Wait, don't go yet. How are you doing? Anything Emily Foxworth can help you out with?
Do you know anything about Valdez?
I don't think so.
Have you heard of an actress, Lizzie Applegate?
Oh, sure. She was a good friend of Lotta Crabtree, another popular actress in the late 1800s. As I recall, she opened up a big hotel. What was it called? The Hotel Mandrake or the Oriental? I forget.
Have you heard of an antique dealer named Louis Chandler?
Nope, never heard of him.
I found some old papers in the house, plus a page from a phone directory dated 1894.
Oh, that sounds valuable. It's hard to find old documents like that before 1906.
Can you tell me about the Chinese writing system? I seem to come across a lot of Chinese symbols.
Oh, it doesn't surprise me. The Chinese have been an important part of San Francisco history for over 100 years. The symbols are called Hanzi, and each one represents a particular thing, or an idea, or an action. You find them all over on business cards, takeout cartons, artwork.
Have you ever come across hidden rooms in Victorian mansions?
No, but I've read that many houses were only partially rebuilt after the Great Earthquake, closing off damaged rooms from the rest of the house.
What do you know about the Bandit's Treasure?
Bandit's Treasure? Oh, you mean the play? The Rep did a season where they performed old local plays, including the Bandit's Treasure. I've never seen it, but I hear the music is fantastic.
Do you know where Yerba Buena town is?
That's what San Francisco was called back during the Spanish colonial period, but no one calls it that anymore.
Tell me about the Spanish and San Francisco.
Oh, you could write a book on that. The Spanish were the first Europeans to settle this area during the 1700s, and it stayed that way until after the Mexican-American War when it was handed over to the United States. It couldn't have happened at a better time because gold was discovered outside the city not more than 2 years later.
With all of that gold around, I'd imagine there's a lot of buried treasure in this town.
Yeah, you'd think that, but I've never heard of any in San Francisco except for Treasure Island out in the bay. But that's named after the book, not some legend.
I should get going. Goodbye, Emily.
Talk to you later.
Ah, Nancy, what a shame to have lost those papers. And to think that we almost lost the house. Rose is very fortunate to have you here.